Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy here for the Daily Blob, where we ask the question, what exactly is like the corporate structure for the Times of Israel? Is the Times of Israel owned by the Daily Stormer? That's the only thing I can figure, right? Like, if the Times of Israel is actually owned by real Nazis, then maybe this article makes sense. Otherwise, I'm getting to be a bit confused. Getting to be confused about Israel. I mean, it's like the level of arrogance is imagine you have an American guy, and then you have a French guy, and then you put them into a trash compactor, and then you shove a silver spoon up their ass. Like that's the level of arrogance we're getting to. Not as arrogant as a Frenchman, not as arrogant as an American, not as arrogant as somebody with a silver spoon shoved up their ass. But if you took all of that and you put it in a compactor, and the creature was still able to say stupid things, it does feel like that would be the level of arrogance that you would have. I'm talking about these stories with Israel because it is interesting as a technology professional that so many of our U.S. tech companies have such a connection with Israel in ways that I honestly hadn't expected, 6 or 7 months ago when I started looking into a lot of this. You had Intel. So Intel, an American company, was investing $20 billion into Israel for fabs and research and development and that type of thing. You have NVIDIA, an American company that is continuing to put tens of billions of dollars into Israel. And as we see the whole disaster going on in Gaza, right, the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, the starving of Palestinian babies, right, there does become this curious question of when does NVIDIA become this generation's IBM, right? When IBM was selling tabulating machines to the Nazis in order to tabulate something, hey, these Germans, yeah, they need a lot of tabulating machines. Why do they need so many tabulating machines? Shut up, Bob. Just selling the fucking tabulating machines, right? We look back, in American history, and that is a stain. That is a stain on our soul. And one of the things to be looking at right now is, our NVIDIA and Intel and the other technology companies that are working with Israel, are they the IBMs of 2025? And then what happens with all of that? How can you continue to invest billions of dollars into a genocidal regime, right? A regime that believes they're abjectly superior than the people that are around them, and they have the absolute right to crush those people, right? How do we as Americans feel about, putting more money into that system? As I've said before, I do understand the original sin of the United States is that George Washington and many of his ilk were slave owners, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident. They ain't people. Look, I get that. That's the original sin for the United States. But one of my arguments is not to relitigate the past. It's to let's stop being such assholes now. Right? Look, my family couldn't afford slaves. Like, I don't really feel like my soul is clean because my family was too fucking poor to own slaves. Well, my family never owned slaves because we were too fucking poor. Like, I don't really feel like that is the get out of jail free card a lot of people think it is. And so one of the arguments I put out there is, look, I can't relitigate what happened back in 1776 or Jim Crow era or whatever else. But hey, can we be nicer to black people today? That type of thing. And that's what I look at. Can we relitigate how we supported the Nazis? Do you understand? When you look back at history, when you actually read the documents from that time period, do you realize that many of the American government officials, their argument with Hitler is that he basically just went too far with it? He was like, it's not like we like these people. It's not like we want these people in our society. But concentration camps now, that's a bridge too far. So anyways, one of the things that I look at is this whole question of, can we stop relitigating the 1930s and the 1940s? Look at 2025 and say, how can we simply do better now? How can we not, support Nazi 3.0? Eli, this isn't Nazi 3.0. I will have you know, this is Nazi 2.1.25. Come on now, get your Nazi edition straight, young man. But anyways, yeah, we got Israel. We got Israel doing whatever the fuck Israel's doing. Like you just look at Israel and you're just like, Jesus. Like you're just saying it. I think that's a funny thing with Israel. The most amazing thing about Israel, what I love about supremacists, you know what I love about supremacists? Is that they say it. They say exactly what they're doing because they know that they are right. And everybody else is like, oh my God. Like even if you're doing that, fuck, you're not supposed to say it. So yeah, this is real. This is from July 23rd, so about a week ago, my time. From the Times of Israel. A proud partner, apparently, of the Daily Stormer, because that's the only goddamn thing I can figure out with this. Anyways, Knesset votes 71-13 for non-binding motion calling to annex the West Bank. So the West Bank is an area. It used to be controlled by Jordan. There was a war. There's millions of Palestinians in the West Bank. The Israelis feel like it should be theirs because Mickey Mouse told them it should be theirs 3,000 years ago or some god-awful horse crap. And so now, literally, like they are in the middle of an ethnic cleansing campaign where they're trying to tell the world, no, this isn't ethnic cleansing. This isn't genocide. And literally, as they're doing this, as they're starving the next generation of Palestinians to death, they take a vote on annexing the West Bank too. Because nothing says the world doesn't really understand what you're doing, like doubling down on the crap that's horrifying the world. Symbolic resolution calls West Bank inseparable part of the land of Israel. The Knesset approved a non-binding motion in favor of annexing the West Bank on Wednesday, a symbolic gesture that united the otherwise fractious right-wing governing coalition. The resolution, which passed 71-13, so not even close, these psychotic supremacist piece of crap know that they are the superior people, declare that the West Bank is, quote, an inseparable part of the land of Israel, the historical, cultural, and spiritual homeland of the Jewish people, and that, quote, Israel has the natural, historical, and legal right to all of the territories of the land of Israel. Hey, Trump. Hey, Trump, how are you going to tell China that they can't take Taiwan? Do you notice this? Like we say we will go to war with China over Taiwan if China tries to retake Taiwan. So look, I believe Taiwan's a country. Taiwan is an independent, democratic country in my worldview. In the Chinese worldview, they're a breakaway province. Anyways, right? We are told we will send American men and women to be slaughtered halfway around the world if China tries to, quote unquote, retake Taiwan, which China feels is part of their country. Israel pulls the exact same horse crap, and I am sure Trump is going to be on his knees being a good little fucking alpha dog slobbering over Netanyahu's ring. Right? Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny Israel can do exactly what we're horrified China is doing, and everybody's like, yeah. It called on the government to, quote, apply Israeli sovereignty, law, judgment, and administration to all the areas of Jewish settlement of all kinds in Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley, the government's term for the West Bank. Israel captured the West Bank from Jordan in the 1967 Six-Day War, and the territory is now estimated to be home to more than 500,000 Israeli settlers, in addition to millions of Palestinians. And remember the sick, psychotic, supremacist supremacist Israeli politicians have stated in the past they are concerned about the birth rates of the Palestinians, right? The supremacist politicians have stated that the Palestinians are breeding so fast that it is an inherent danger to the state of Israel. So if you annex an area that has millions of Palestinians, what exactly are the Israeli politicians and military going to do to prevent the Palestinians from overbreeding? I'm interested in your answer, you sick, sick bastards. Anyways, much of the international community says Israel is illegally occupying the territory. Imagine that. Crimes against humanity, war crimes, and Israel doesn't give a crap. And views the settlements as violations of international law, which Israel disputes because they are superior. We are superior. Quote, this is our land. This is our home. You know, ignoring the Palestinians that are there. It's that whole thing. If you don't consider them people, then there's nobody here. I don't see anybody. Like, I have no idea what Palestinians you're talking about. I don't see any other humans on this land. Ergo, it is free for us to take. The land of Israel belongs to the people of Israel. Not the people who have actually been living on the land for, hundreds or thousands of years. Knesset Speaker Amir Ohana said after the vote, quote, in 1967, the occupation did not begin, it ended, and our homeland was returned to its rightful owners. We are the original first natives of this piece of land. The original first natives of this, oh Jesus. Jews cannot be the occupier of a land that for 3,000 years has been called Judea. Annexation of the West Bank or of its Israeli settlements is a long-time aspiration of the Israeli right. In 2019, ahead of an election, Netanyahu pledged to annex the Jordan Valley on the territory's eastern flank. Let's see, Sheikh, this person called the vote, quote, a direct assault on the rights of the Palestinian people who ostensibly would not receive equal rights to their Israeli settler neighbors in a scenario where Jerusalem annexes the West Bank, right? Because Israel is an ethno-state, right? It is inherently a racist ethno-state. Ergo, the Palestinians, if they're not Jews, they are not going to get the same rights and privileges in the ethno-state. Congratulations. Congratulations. What was it my mom used to say? My mom used to say, was it britches to britches in 4 generations? There's this idea, like when people make money, right? So there's some boy out in the farm, doing farming stuff. And then they realize, hey, there could be this better implement to do farming or this better process. And then they become like multimillionaires. They became really rich for their generation. And then they pass that down to their children who they do something pretty good, right? And then they go to the next children who aren't so good. And they go to the next children. And basically the next children have burned through all the money that the great grandparent created. The idea is that wealth is in cycles, right? You make the money in one generation and it goes down until back in britches again, and they make the money maybe, right? So hey, look at this. We have genocide to genocide in 4 generations. Congratulations, Israelis. You're creating new sayings at least. So yeah, I can't make this up. I cannot make up this absurdity. So the Knesset, non-binding, but if you have the Israeli government basically stating this is what their goal and aim is, that's what they're going to do, right? When the war in Gaza started, I read the right-wing Israeli politicians literally state they were going to take Gaza. Gaza would never be a Palestinian land again. I literally did a video from back then, it's been deleted at this point, talking about how the Israeli politicians were literally measuring their drapes for when they take over the land of Gaza. And now what we see years later is basically they're trying to move the Palestinians out. They've said the Palestinians cannot return, right? The whole 9 yards, and now they're going through the starving them out, the whole 9 yards, all of that kind of stuff. So we've seen where the Israeli politicians state exactly what they are going to do, and then they implement exactly, what they've stated. And so now we see, right there, they have their eyes on the West Bank. The West Bank is part of Israel. Fuck the people that have been living there, and so they are going to take it. And so the question is for technology professionals, how can we stomach the support for the next generation of IBMs? How can we stomach support for the companies and the industries and the people that are tacitly and even explicitly providing the resources for this just disaster? I don't know. It is what it is. It is what it is. So if you're NVIDIA, if you're working for NVIDIA, here's the thing. Let me just make this plain. If you're working for NVIDIA, never fucking hang a goddamn rainbow flag or a pastel flag. Never march in some pride parade or whatever else. Never pretend that you're a good person. At no point while you work for NVIDIA can you pretend that you're actually a decent human being. Your company is putting billions of dollars into Israel. That is propping up their economy so that they can destroy the people around them. And we've heard it. We hear it from the Israeli politicians themselves. Again, if you look at this non-binding resolution, what I say was 73-13, right? This wasn't 49-50. This isn't, one party won a couple of more seats, ergo this thing passed, but it's not what the Israelis actually want. Right? The supremacist bastards over there, they know what the fuck they want. They don't give a shit who they have to slaughter to get there. And my country is still shipping over dumb bombs. My country is still shipping over dumb bombs. So anyways, what do you think about this? What do you think about Israel annexing the West Bank? What do you think about them literally holding this vote as the world is already horrified over Gaza? I mean, like, can you be more arrogant? Like, I'm an arrogant American. And even I'm like, whoa, that's a little much there. I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down. Give us an amazing comment. Give us a horrible comment. Do remember, it's YouTube. All that matters is that interaction. And with that, see y'all later.